Hello and welcome back to Business Owners Speak. Today I'm thrilled to have with us Tamara Adamson with GreatVacation4U. Tamara, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Really appreciate you joining us like I do with all of our guests. If you don't mind, start with telling us a little bit about yourself and about the business.
Sure. So I've been in the short-term rental business for approximately 15 years. I actually purchased my first place in Blue Mountain, Ontario, Canada, because that's where I'm originally from. And I had purchased this place just thinking that this would be great to have as a place for a chalet up north. I was living in the Toronto area. I thought it'd be, fantastic place to go on the weekends and be able to do some short-term rentals as well, so I could make some income on it as well. So after owning this property for a couple of years, I started to see how lucrative it could be to do short-term rentals and how much fun it was as well. I was actually really enjoying it. It was a fantastic way of meeting people. And I just thought, why not continue to purchase properties outside of the Ontario, Canada area, and perhaps branch out into other areas where people would love to vacation, such as Florida, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and Mexico. So I started to come down to Florida and take a look at the demographics and where I felt people were most desired to go traveling to. And so started to purchase properties that were all within 1 mile or less from the beach, because that always seemed to be a top priority for people. And always something that would be offering them a home away from home, a place where they could go to and really enjoy everything there and have a whole bunch of amenities and be able to enjoy a luxury stay without breaking the wallet.
Okay, so and how long ago was that you bought the first property?
My first property I purchased in Florida about 10 years ago. And I bought it on South Ocean Boulevard in Highland Beach, which is close to Boca Raton. I bought a 2-bedroom condo right on the ocean. And that was my first purchase. And then I just continued from there. I bought a second property, another one in Boca Raton, which was a 2-bedroom villa, just right across the road from the beach. And then I continued to purchase in Delray Beach, a townhouse. And then I continued to purchase other properties as well in Deerfield Beach, single family residential homes with pools and all the amenities that a family could really enjoy their vacation stay. So not necessarily just a couple or, a couple of friends wanting to go on a vacation. Now I could offer accommodations to people that had 2 or 3 children and would want to have a beautiful pool, making sure that all my pools were heated so that in the winter months, even though we don't have a lot of winter in Florida, but, their winter is maybe 60 degrees on a cold day. So, you always need some heat in that pool.
Yeah.
So I realized what the things that people really wanted from a short-term rental.
So prior to this venture, what were you doing? Did you have a different career, or what were you doing prior to this?
Yeah, so I've been actually in the corporate insurance world for the past 35 years. So I own and operate an insurance agency, Link Insurance. And that's where I started my career. My father was in the insurance business. And so I was second generation in the insurance industry. We did group benefits, health and dental benefits, and corporate structured insurance, life insurance, disability, critical illness benefits. But I knew eventually that I would really want to have my home here in sunny Florida because I don't like the winter. So I knew I was leaning towards wanting to have a career that would allow me to be able to make some American money, because Canadian money is so much lower than the American money. So I needed a business that would bring me some American money and to be able to live a great lifestyle in Florida, as well as being able to work. So my daughter actually came into the business about 5 years ago. And so now she runs our Canadian insurance agency outside of Canada. And I do things on a remote basis here from Delray Beach, Florida.
Best of both worlds.
Yes, absolutely. And the best of both dollars as well,
Right.
which is important at 35 cents exchange, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right. So walk us through kind of your process of, you've decided, okay, I've got some cash freed up. It's time to go find another property. Like, what does that look like? Because, there's a lot of coastline in Florida. So how do you kind of decide how to start looking?
Well, I actually started to do some demographic studying, and I actually traveled all the way through Florida. I went into Sarasota and went to all different Orlando, into all different areas, Naples. So I went from the east to the west coast of Florida. And I found that doing some research on the internet, I found that Delray was one of the most up and coming areas in east coast of Florida. A lot of I did a lot of research as to where I felt would be most lucrative and where people really wanted to have a vacation. And I also looked at real estate and saw that the price of real estate was really going up in the east coast of Florida, which actually has proven to be so true. I mean, if you take a look at Naples, Florida, it's the actual percentage of what that real estate is worth today from, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe we're looking at a 15%, 20% increase, where most of the properties that I've purchased that are more than 8 years old have more than doubled in the past 8 years. So not only are you building equity in the properties that you purchase, but you're also having fun building a business that I've always been in businesses that have been so serious. Being in the corporate insurance world, people are dying, people are getting sick, people are talking about, what could I do if I die? Whereas now I'm dealing with people as I'm going on a vacation. So it's a very different kind of a business. Also, the insurance business, it was always about knocking on their door. And what I love about this business, it's about people knocking on my door. And I built my business. I do have my own website now, GreatVacation4U.com. But I built my business, pretty much using Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, TripAdvisor, and that built over my business over the last 11-year span. Now that I've built up my business, I actually kept all of the guests that have stayed with me over the years, and I'm very proactive about talking to the guests on a constant basis. And I don't mean like actually physically picking up the phone and talking to them, but sending out email blasts, doing mass marketing to them, giving them information on different specials that are coming up, like, Christmas is coming, New Year's is coming, Valentine's Day is coming, just like, the normal travel industry, promoting myself and giving people, a certain discounts when they come back. I give them a $250 discount if they come back to come stay with us again, or if they refer us a guest, they get a certain amount back for themselves as well. So, and so that's how I've kind of built my business. And I would say about 60% of all my guests now are on a direct basis, which is really incredible, because the problem is if you rely on the websites, then you rely on them to bring you into these guests, and you're just one of the many, many rentals that are out there.
Right.
whereas your guests know the type of quality that you offer. And I'm a perfectionist, and because I'm mostly here in the Florida region, I'm making sure that the properties are always kept very well maintained, having handymen, air conditioning people, and people going in there constantly to maintain these homes to make sure that they look exactly like the pictures. In actual fact, a lot of my guests say they look better than the pictures that are on the websites, on both my own or on the websites through the different through the Airbnbs
Sure.
and the RBOs of the world.
So with your volume, you've created almost your own referral network, right? Where your own clients who either return or tell somebody else. That's great. That's the best kind of business.
Oh, absolutely. Repeat business, referral business is the best business that you could ever want. And that goes for both of my businesses, both the insurance industry and the short-term rentals. You know, a referred client, you have no trust issues. They're not worried that you're taking their money and that they're going to get there and there's not going to be a property.
Right.
And they also know, because their buddy has told them that this is a phenomenal place to stay at. They're not concerned that it's going to look different when they arrive. So you've already got that built-in credibility when the guest arrives at your property. So definitely, it really makes a huge difference.
So how many properties do you have available at this point?
Okay, so I had 2 properties in Dominican, and I had a property in Mexico. I had 2 properties in Blue Mountain, Ontario, Canada, and I had 6 properties here in the East Coast of Florida. And over the last 2 years, I have decided to scale down, and I now have the majority. I have 6 properties here on the East Coast of Florida. I decided to sell my properties outside of the US or Canada because it's just very hard to maintain those properties. You know, everybody's on the take, and, you know, you're paying off the concierge just to make sure you've got water coming to the guests, or, you know, you're paying people off just to make sure your electrical doesn't go down. And it just became very difficult to maintain the properties that were outside of Canada or the US, because the mentality of those people are very different than those in Canada or the US. So I decided that I was going to streamline my rental business, sell off my properties in Dominican and in Mexico, and just continue to grow my properties here in Florida. So I'm basically right now, I have 6 in Florida and a couple in Ontario, Canada. And but I will be buying some more properties here in Florida now that I've sold off on some of the properties outside of Canada and the US. So I want to continue to grow and probably have around 10. I don't want to manage other people's properties. I only want to manage my own, because not everybody has the same sort of feeling as to how they want to maintain their properties. So I prefer to own them myself, be able to maintain them myself, and I know how they run and that they're at a level that I feel comfortable with.
Sure, and that makes sense with the international properties, the return versus how much time, work, and effort and concern, because you're so far away.
Yes.
Something's wrong or it's not ready, especially if you're upholding such high standards for all your other properties. That makes complete sense. Do you have like a property management company that maintains your current properties?
So what I have is I have a rental assistant. Actually, my rental assistant is in Toronto, Canada. I also have a concierge lady here that maintains my property. But I'm here the majority of the time, so I do a lot of maintaining. But she does go in there. She does organize all the cleaning services. She lets me know, when we're down on supplies, and she lets me know if something needs to be replaced, let's say a mattress, a couch, a bed. So she's very picky like I have, and she's actually worked with me for 11 years here. So she's
great.
The person that I trust, and has been there by my side for the entire process here in Florida. And it's a very good relationship, and we've really streamlined the organization to make sure that everything's well run.
Sure. So so I'm thinking of the fun stuff. When you buy a new property, do you look for furnished, or do you enjoy doing all the furnishing and the setup and all of that?
You know what? A lot of properties here in Florida are sold furnished. So a couple of them I did buy furnished, but some of the pieces I did not like. So I took out like the bed, or I took out the couch, or I added to them, maybe added some nicer TVs, put in some nicer outdoor furniture. Like I know the things that people really want when they go on a short-term rental type of vacation stay. People want a really good barbecue, right? They really want to have a really great pool to swim in. They want to make sure it's heated. They want to be close to the beach. There's very specific requirements. I put like high chairs and, a baby cribs, like as being able to be accessible for our guests as well, so that they don't have to drag those type of things with them on a plane if they're coming for a visit. So there's always things that I add, and I continue to add to these properties. I'm a little bit different than a lot of Airbnbs because, and I use Airbnbs where like, maybe I should just say short-term rentals but I make sure that there's lots of plates and cups and saucers and cutlery. A lot of places you go for short-term rentals, they have 4 plates and 4 cups and 4 forks and spoons. So unless you're constantly washing things, you're running out of things very, very quickly. So I equip my homes as if you're living there full time. So what I've always done is I buy a place and I try to actually live in it for a few weeks. So I know the little things that are missing. Sometimes you forget, salt and pepper shaker, or a napkin holder, or a toilet paper roll holder, things that we may not even think of when we're actually furnishing or equipping a short-term rental. But if you actually live in there, you actually know what you're missing. Like, for example, I lived in one place and I needed a potato peeler. And I'm like, oh my God, we don't have a potato peeler. Something as small as that could be such an inconvenience when someone is there and they want to make mashed potatoes and they don't have a potato peeler. It's a $2 item, but a lot of people that are running short-term rentals, they forget the very small things that to me are incredibly important when it comes to short-term rentals.
I can speak to that. I was in one just this past weekend, and then they literally had about 3 plates. They had no salt and pepper shaker, all the little stuff that you wouldn't think of. That makes a ton of sense that you would live there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
What better way to kind of have your list and go through it and add in?
Oh yeah, it makes a huge difference. I mean, you cannot believe the amount of times that I had to use Amazon. Every time I was like, oh my God, it's missing this, and you'd go onto Amazon right away and order it within 24 hours. You've got everything you need, right? But it is definitely a great way to know what you actually are missing if you actually live in it. You also will then know how comfortable the beds are, how soft the towels are. What's the pressure on the shower? When you get into that shower, does it trickle, or are you getting a really good shower, a really good experience? Beds are really important. Like, is the bed too soft? And, one of the things that people love is the pillows on the beds, they're sleeping pillows. When somebody has a good night's rest, it's incredible the difference that it makes to their stay if they have a really good pillow. And people say, well, I'm not going to spend $25 on a pillow, but it could make the difference between a 3-star rating versus a 5-star rating when somebody leaves. And those ratings, oh my God, that makes a huge difference in the amount of people that will come back and stay with you again, and the referrals that you'll get from that.
So what's the future look like? Are you trying to continue to buy 3 times as many properties in Florida, or are you pretty content with the current size?
You know what? I think I will be buying probably another 2 or 3 in the Florida, East Coast Florida. I'm sticking to the same area. It's what I know. I know it's what people love. So I will definitely stay in the area. I do feel that there's a higher demand right now for the Delray Beach area. So I think that I'm going to stick to the Delray Beach area. Definitely not a condo, because there's too many restrictions. HOAs are so variable. Things happen. You're responsible. I like the single detached homes where you have the full control over what happens and what it's going to cost you to keep that place at the standards that you want. So I believe that I will purchase a couple of more places in Delray Beach. And then that's pretty much it. I don't think that I want to be any much bigger than that. I think that I'll be content and happy with that because it's manageable. I think if you get too big, you lose that personal touch and the control. You now need somebody else to help you control it. And nobody is you. There's nobody that's going to care as much as you're going to care. So, because it's your business. So sometimes when we grow too big or we have too much, that personal touch goes away and you don't have the sort of quality that you want in the properties that you are representing and renting out to your guests.
Fair enough. And how about, you took a couple risks, right? With a couple different businesses. Can you have any advice for someone maybe just starting out and trying to decide how to make a new business work?
Well, I think that first of all, the most important thing when you're starting out a business is to really love what you do. I mean, I think that if you're getting into something just for the money, it's never going to be successful. So I think the number one component is, do I love what I'm doing, right? And if you don't do it. Find something else that you really love and that you have a huge passion for, because passion makes such a huge difference. The second thing is, make sure that you do your study before you get into it. Take a look at, all the variables, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do your research, do a little bit of analysis of whatever it is that you're doing, comparing it to other businesses. And always expect that, in the first couple of years, you may not be able to take any money out of that business. So make sure that you've got the financial holdings that you don't have to take money out of that business for the first couple of years because you're going to need it to grow the business. And I think that if you stick to those key components, that you could definitely be successful. The other thing that's really important is that if you expect other people to make it happen for you, it won't. So if you expect, okay, I'll just kind of have a very laid back approach, hire a couple of people, they'll take care of things for me, you'll never be as successful as if you do it yourself. So just be prepared to invest the time. When I first got into the insurance business, I worked about 18 hours a day. And it's only now in the last, several years since my daughter came into that business that I've been able to, go back to, a much more minimal amount of hours on the insurance side and be able to manage both businesses. But, if you get into any business, be ready to commit financially, be ready to commit mentally, and be ready to commit time-wise. And if you don't have all those factors in place, I think it's going to be very difficult to have a successful business.
Well, that is great advice, and congratulations on the way you've built your business. Certainly an industry that you got in at the right time, and all these different avenues to be able to book and whatnot. Good for you, Tamara Adamson, with GreatVacation4U. We really appreciate your time today, and we wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.